Welcome back, everyone. We're diving into something pretty interesting today, something I think a lot of you can relate to. We're talking about radio, but not radio as we know it.
That's right. It's radio, but with a really futuristic twist. And the information we've been looking at, particularly some material from Royal Money Radio, suggests that NFTs are about to shake things up in a big way.
Yeah, and when I first heard NFTs and radio in the same sentence, I was like, hold on, how does that even work?
Yeah.
Because I'm thinking digital art, I'm thinking collectibles, I'm definitely not thinking of my old transistor radio.
Well, it might seem like a strange pairing at first, but once you start digging into it, you realize that this is about a lot more than just slapping an NFT on a radio show. This is about potentially reshaping the whole relationship between radio stations and their listeners, like us.
Okay, so let's unpack that a bit. What exactly are we talking about here? When we say NFTs are going to reinvent radio, what does that actually look like in practice?
It boils down to this idea of decentralization and community ownership. Traditionally, radio has always been very centralized, right? You have the station, the broadcaster, and then you have the passive listener. What NFTs allow for is a model where listeners can actually own a piece of the station and have a real say in how things are run.
So instead of just tuning in and listening to whatever they decide to play,
Yeah.
listeners could actually have a voice, a vote. That's a pretty big change.
Exactly. And Royal Money Radio, the information we have from them, they're really leaning into this idea. They're talking about unprecedented privileges for NFT holders, things that go way beyond just exclusive content or early access.
So what kind of privileges are we actually talking about? What's in it for me as a listener if I decide to grab one of these radio station NFTs?
Well, for starters, you'd have seamless access to their live streams no matter where you are. But it gets more interesting. They talk about a profit-sharing ecosystem. So as the radio station generates revenue, a portion of that could actually be distributed back to the NFT holders.
So my listening, my engagement, could actually translate into a tangible reward. That's a pretty cool incentive to, actually tune in and be part of the community.
Absolutely. And it goes even further than that. They even suggest that the actual content of the station, the direction it takes, could be collaboratively shaped by the NFT holders. So you're not just a passive listener anymore. You actually have a stake in the station's success and its evolution.
Now that is fascinating. So it's like the community, the listeners who are also owners, they get to have a direct impact on what gets played, what gets discussed. It's almost like a radio station by the people, for the people.
You could say that, and that's a huge departure from the traditional radio model, where it's all decided at the top and the listeners just have to take it or leave it.
So I'm sold on the concept. I can see the potential here. But let's get practical for a minute. If someone listening right now is thinking, okay, how do I actually get involved in this? What are the steps they need to take? Fortunately, Royal Money Radio has laid out a pretty clear how to participate guide. Let's walk through it.
Sure. The first thing you'll need is a digital wallet. It's like a bank account for your digital assets, where you can store your cryptocurrencies and your NFTs. Think of it as your gateway to the world of blockchain technology.
And the guide specifically mentions MetaMask and Rabby as two popular options. What are the main differences between these wallets, and why might someone choose one over the other?
Well, MetaMask has been around a bit longer. It's pretty well established. It's got lots of features, and you can get it on your phone, both Apple and Android. Rabby is a little newer to the scene, but some people find it easier to use, especially if they're new to crypto. But both will do the job, letting you manage your digital assets and connect to these NFT platforms.
Got it. So once you've picked a wallet and set it up, the next step is buy AVX on MoonPay. Can you explain what AVX is and why you need it in this context?
Sure. AVX is the cryptocurrency that powers the Avalanche blockchain. It's what you'll use to mint or create your Royal Money broadcast NFT. Think of it like the fuel you need to put your NFT onto the blockchain and make it official.
And MoonPay is the platform they recommend for buying AVX. Sounds pretty straightforward. You can use your credit card, Visa, MasterCard, even PayPal. They also mention a KYC process. Can you explain what that is and why it's necessary?
KYC stands for Know Your Customer. It's basically a standard security check that many platforms use to verify your identity. It helps prevent fraud and ensures they're complying with regulations. You usually just need to provide some form of ID.
Okay, that makes sense. Now, here's a detail that seems pretty important. They specifically say to select Avalanche AVX, C-Chain, when you're buying. Why is that C-Chain designation so crucial?
So Avalanche actually has several different chains, but the C chain is the one that supports smart contracts, and that's the technology behind NFTs. If you choose the wrong chain, your AVX might not end up at the right place and you won't be able to mint your NFT. So yeah, that's a really important detail to double check.
Good to know. So once you've got your AVX sorted, the next instruction is to get your wallet address. Where do you find that, and what do you do with it?
Your wallet address is like your account number in the crypto world. It's a long string of characters that identifies your wallet. You can usually find it within your wallet app, whether you're using MetaMask or Rappi. On the Royal Money Radio website in the Mint section, they've made it super easy. There's a QR code you can scan or a button to copy the address directly. You'll paste this address into MoonPay, and that tells them where to send your AVX once you've bought it.
Perfect. So once the AVX lands in your wallet, you're ready for the main event. Mint your digital asset, NFT. Can you break down what minting actually means in this context?
Minting is essentially the process of creating your unique NFT and registering it on the blockchain. It's like getting a digital certificate of ownership that's permanently recorded and can't be tampered with. This Royal Money NFT, this is what grants you all those privileges and potential rewards we talked about earlier.
So you go back to the Royal Money Radio site, head to the minting section, make sure your wallet's connected and you have enough AVX, and then you hit that mint button.
That's it. And once you do that, your unique Royal Money NFT will appear in your wallet. You can view it, you could potentially sell it on a marketplace, or even transfer it to someone else. It's yours to control.
Pretty amazing stuff.
Yeah.
And the last step in their guide is share the news. They have a referral system set up. How does that work?
Yeah, so if you mint a Royal Money NFT, you'll get a special referral link. If someone uses your link to mint their own NFT, you get a 5% commission in AVAX. It's their way of encouraging people to spread the word and grow the community.
That's a pretty sweet deal. And they mentioned a kickback and GS50 tokens for the person who actually mints using a referral link.
Right.
What are these GS50 tokens all about?
It sounds like GS50 is their own internal token for the Royal Money Radio ecosystem. It's designed to reward holders with various perks. So when someone mints an NFT using a referral link, they get a little bonus in GS50 tokens on top of everything else. They even have a whole dashboard where you can manage your GS50 tokens, you can withdraw them, compound them, buy more, sell them. It seems like they're building a whole ecosystem around this. And on top of that, there's another separate referral program for GS50 itself.
Wow, so it's like a whole network of incentives and rewards, all designed to get people involved and excited about the project.
Yeah.
Oh, and before I forget, the material mentions that the website for Royal Money Radio was designed by GSG Global, a software company based in Virginia.
I noticed that too. I think it's a good sign. It means they're working with professionals and that the platform is built on solid foundations. It helps build trust,
Definitely. So to sum it all up, what we're seeing here is a pretty radical departure from traditional radio. It's not just about listening anymore. It's about ownership. It's about having a say. It's about being part of a community and potentially even profiting from its success.
Exactly. It's like radio is finally catching up to the potential of the digital age. And it makes you wonder, what other forms of media could benefit from this kind of community-driven approach? What if we could own a piece of our favorite news website or streaming platform or even a podcast?
Now, those are some really interesting questions to ponder. It makes you think about how our relationship with media could evolve in the years to come. It's exciting and a little bit mind-blowing, to be honest. Anyway, that's all the time we have for today's deep dive. But keep those questions in mind, because the future of media might be a lot more interactive and a lot more rewarding than we ever imagined.